With all the excitement surrounding the Oblivion Remake, I thought it'd be a fun idea to go over Bethesda's pre-built classes in Oblivion and put them in a tier list for your viewing pleasure. We're going to break it down into combat, stealth, and magic class capabilities, and we'll rank them all from S to F. Let's get started. If you're in the mood to roleplay as the Noble Knight of Cyrodiil, the Knight class might just be for you. While it lacks a ranged major skill, the Knight skills are all fairly solid. Illusion and Speechcraft allow you to increase your personality attribute, which you can raise high enough to have bandits and even wildlife become non-hostile to your presence. Blade, Heavy Armor, and Block also make for an effective melee character. The only real con is how attribute-reliant the class is, as you'll want to increase strength, personality, and endurance attributes at essentially every level in order to stay effective. Without metagaming, this is a fairly hard goal to accomplish. But because of its versatility and ability to tank a lot of damage, but lacking in range and magic, I'd put this class in the B rank as a great class to use if you really want to just focus on that raw melee power. Next up is the Rogue. The Rogue you would think would be a stealth specialization, but that's where you're wrong. The Rogue has a range of varying abilities, and you'll notice that it comes with illusion and alchemy magic to keep you hidden and make some vile poisons to use against your foes. Things to note for this class, however, is that it lacks a ranged major skill, which really prevents it from being a top tier class in my opinion. It also lacks a good sneak, which means you'll be relying on that illusion magic to really sneak around in not some lightly padded slippers. This makes you more like a lightweight fighter rather than a true rogue in my traditional D&D style, at least in my head, so I would say the scout class might be a better choice to use if this type of playstyle appeals to you. Because other classes do what the rogue does better, I'm just going to move it into the D category for now. Before we keep going, I feel it's important to give a brief explanation on how leveling works in Oblivion, as it's pretty strange at first and can be punishing if you don't know what to do. In a nutshell, your character will level up after you increase one of your major skills 10 times. However, leveling any skill before the 10th major skill will raise the attribute bonus modifier you'll get when you level up, as you get to choose 3 of these core attributes to increase for each level up. This means that you want to be efficient when it comes to leveling both your minor and major skills to maximize attribute bonuses for every level up. With the scaling system in Oblivion for enemies, this can exponentially get worse as you progress through the game if you don't manage this correctly. Expect a future video when the remake fully comes out covering this in more detail, but keep that in mind when I mention good or bad major skills for leveling. Alright, let's get back to the list. We can take a look at one class everyone knew was coming in this section, the Warrior. The Warrior is an expert with essentially every type of martial weapon, but that does actually come with a drawback. There's no dual wielding in Oblivion compared to Skyrim, which many of you may be familiar with. That means that having a variety of martial weapons is only so effective because you can only use one weapon type at a time. It includes the hand-to-hand skill as well, which is one of the least effective skills in Oblivion in my opinion. It also lacks a major skill involving ranged, such as marksman or destruction magic. The Warrior isn't all bad though. It's an amazing class for those new to Oblivion, as it's very easy to play, especially with an endurance boost and 2 endurance-related major skills. Just make sure you always add to your endurance for every level up, and most enemies the game throws at you won't be enough to take you down. If magic interests you, however, I would move to another class. Because of the beginner-friendly atmosphere this class brings, I'm going to put Warrior in A tier, as picking this and smashing stuff is all you really need to do in this playstyle to succeed. Alright, let's talk about Barbarians. Barbarians in Oblivion were designed to trade survivability for damage output, but the only real problem with that is in Oblivion, the Barbarian really doesn't output that much more damage over something like the Warrior or the Spellsword or the Knight. So really, the versatility that comes with it isn't quite there. Not to say that they're necessarily a bad class, it's just that there are other classes that do it better in just about every category that the Barbarians appeal to. That's why I'm going to put the Barbarians at a high C, low B area. Scouts in Oblivion are speedy duelists that focus on movement and avoiding attacks, rather than taking them on directly. They do lack a major skill in the range category, which always did confuse me in Oblivion, but they make up for it with athletics and acrobatics. In order to best use this class, it can be a little tricky. You need to do some min-maxing in your attributes, especially in the early game, to really get yourself going, and focus on your endurance, speed, and strength classes whenever you can. It can be tough raising endurance as a scout, as you won't find yourself blocking all that much with all your acrobatics you can do, and light armor only does so much. Because you have to min-max this class and it's one of the tougher ones to get going, this class will fall into a C class. There's just other classes that do it better. Archer's up next. This is a solid class for players who don't really care about magic, but like the versatility of staying back but getting close when you need to. They have solid major skills, minus hand-to-hand of course, solid attributes, and you can get some great attribute bonuses on level ups from leveling those minor skills. Compared to the other classes, the Archer does lack due to having no school of magic under its belt, as magic is dangerously overpowered in Oblivion. If you want to use an Archer, make sure you use those repair hammers you find in the game to level up your armorer skills so you can get those larger endurance bonuses when you level up. For me, Archer lines up at a solid B tier. Crusader's up next, but you might as well just call it Bethesda's version of Paladin, because that's what this class essentially is. Crusaders utilize blunt weapons and restoration magic to deal damage and keep themselves alive, and their heavy armor skill gives you great defense to take a ton of damage with. Some of the drawbacks with the Crusader is that the willpower attribute can be difficult to level at times, unless you're using alteration or destruction magic as well. This class is a fairly strong option for newer players, as you'll find yourselves getting solid attribute bonuses on level ups, which will happen fairly often due to having major skills that tend to get levels quick. Crusader definitely falls into an A tier. We've talked about smacking a lot of enemies with a lot of different types of hard weapons, but what if you're the type to avoid conflict, grab everything in sight, but never be seen? Well, Bethesda got you covered, and we'll go over some of the stealth-based classes now. We'll start with the classic class we all expect to see here, the Thief. Let's just get this out of the way. There's not much to be said here about the Thief. It's got a range of skills you would expect to see, but something you may notice is a lack of illusion magic and blade skill. For a class that wants to get close and personal for pickpocketing, not having a close weapon skill is a significant drawback, as well as not having illusion magic to get away early game. There's other classes we'll cover that does what the Thief does but better, so this will fall into the F tier because there's so many better options available. Just don't use the Thief. I wouldn't say the Pilgrim is the worst class, but it wouldn't be getting picked first for kickball, that's for sure. The Pilgrim has a really strange combination of attributes and major skills, which makes this a pretty undesirable class. They use blunt weapons, but have no strength major stats, so damage output's pretty minimal. Most of their major skills increase attributes that don't get enhanced with the default bonuses, and the only way to really level endurance for this class is through block. Because of this class just being lukewarm, it falls into the D tier. The Monk has some fantastic skills, but with the hand-to-hand skill just given the lowest damage output in the game by far, there's not much here to let the Monk shine. You have enhanced mobility, but that comes with the drawback of not having many options for training your endurance up. This makes the Monk a literal glass cannon build at higher levels, and if you don't level up properly, when the enemies scale, the difficulty will become extremely difficult. Because of this, Monk falls into the C tier. There's other classes you'll have more fun doing this with. The Acrobat class is made up entirely of skills that you'll almost certainly find yourself using in gameplay, which helps you to level quickly. That'd be great if all your skills weren't only focused on agility, but having your main damage skill requiring the strength attribute, something conveniently missing from the favorite attributes. Acrobat will fall into a C tier, as it isn't exactly a bad class due to the quick leveling you can get, but a class like a Bard or a Spellsword would just be a better option. Up next is one of the more unique classes that you'll find in the list. The Agent focuses on manipulating people to win fights, with combat or using speechcraft whenever it's able. The combination of marksman and illusion is a great pairing, as you can set yourself up for success very easily by planning out each encounter, then utilizing your range of magic to crowd control or sneak past certain enemies you don't want to fight. This class is not the most beginner-friendly class, but can be a fantastic setup for players who like to sneak but want more versatility than some of the other stealth-focused classes. Agent gets an A tier. Assassins operate in the shadows, focusing on skills such as sneak and alchemy to enhance the utility of their blades and bows. As far as stealth characters go, you won't find many better options than the assassin. You have ranged and melee combat options, good major skills, and have a great roster of minor skills that allow you to get solid attribute bonuses when you level up. Just be sure to increase your agility whenever possible, as this stat plays a huge role in how stealthy your assassin ends up being. Because of this, the assassin is also an A tier. If you're new to Oblivion, this next one's going to surprise you. A bard in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion will not be running around with a lute, playing melodies and sweeping damsels off their feet. In this game, the bard cleverly uses illusion spells and alchemy to do the charming or eliminating. Playing as a bard, you can use illusion spells to crowd control enemies. Blade and block allow you to be a solid melee build as well. While it doesn't have a ranged major skill, illusion handles that need and makes destruction or marksman less of a requirement. If you're the type of player who loves getting into character and likes getting crafty to solve combat in creative ways, this class might just be for you. Bard for me falls into the S tier, as in my opinion it is the best default class to use if you're going with the stealth specialization. We've covered smacking people with weapons, sneaking past them with stealth, but there's one category we've yet to cover, and this one's a doozy. That's right, magic. Now in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, you can craft your own spells, so magic can become dangerously overpowered in this game. You can create magic arrows that'll send enemies to the stratosphere when they get hit, as well as countless other options, literally hundreds. So without further ado, let's jump into the magic classes and see how they stack up compared to the other ones. Alright, let's just get this out of the way. The healer sucks. The only damage output the healer has is destruction magic, but I'll note illusion can be used as crowd control as well. You have no proficiency with any armor or weapons, and your major skills require some serious metagaming to increase other important stats, such as endurance. This class doesn't even include a conjuration major skill, which would be a huge benefit to this class as you could literally summon minions and heal them, which is like the whole point of a healer. The healer is an F tier because there's far too many drawbacks with almost no positives for the class. The Battlemage sounds cool, but it's just a toned down Spellsword essentially, both in the combat skills and as far as magic prowess goes. Having a lower willpower means spellcasting is tougher in the early game, and this class doesn't include any skills that increase your endurance. Battlemage will also get an F for this reason. There's just other magic classes that can do this, but a lot better. Now, if spells are all you want to do, then the Mage is for you. This is one of the better pre-made classes in the game, and that's largely due to the fact that you have all major skills in literally every school of magic, which can be insanely overpowered. Both favorite attributes will get great bonuses by utilizing your magic, and there's so much versatility here in spell selection for almost any encounter. You may have a tough time getting started at the early game because spells can be expensive, especially if you have a low mercantile skill. So take full advantage of your conjuration magic or focus on leveling endurance skills, because at the higher levels the lack of endurance can make things difficult. All things considered, the Mage falls as a solid A tier in this list, just due to the pure versatility that comes with their spell selection. The Nightblade is a solid hybrid between speed and magic. This class relies more on the speed over its defense to avoid damage, and uses blade and destruction skills to deal it. Dunmer are great choices for this class, as they get natural bonuses to both blade and destruction as well, giving you a straight start at dealing solid damage immediately out of the sewer gate. I'll do a future video on the racial bonuses that each race and gender get, so definitely subscribe so you won't miss that video when that comes out. You may want to consider leveling armor skill with this class as well, as that will help give you some endurance bonuses when you would otherwise find yourself lacking. The Nightblade falls into B tier, as it requires some metagaming in order to really increase your endurance, and if you want a combination of magic and combat, there really are better options. Whereas Nightblade was a mix of combat and magic, the Witch Hunter is a mix of ranged and magic. The major skills are solid, but like the Nightblade, you don't have a skill to boost that endurance attribute. Similar to the Nightblade, you'll find yourself using armor or wearing some heavy armor here and there to address the issue. With that considered, the Witch Hunter is still a solid medium-range class to use, utilizing conjuration to keep the enemies away while they have combat and magic options to deal the damage. Witch Hunter gets an A, as you do have more survivability over the Nightblade. The Sorcerer is one of my favorite default classes. One thing you may notice from the Mage class is a swap out between illusion magic and heavy armor. This is a fantastic difference though, as this allows you to increase your endurance stat much quicker. You also get endurance as a favorite attribute, which helps the Sorcerer be one of the best melee casters, and gives you the ability to swap your playstyle midway through the game, making it one of the best beginner-friendly classes available. Sorcerer gets an easy S tier rating, as it's one of the best classes you can get outside of making your own. By far, my favorite, and in my opinion, the best class in the game for pre-made classes is the Spellsword. This class combines blade and magic equally to make combat a breeze. It has excellent major skills and attributes to help you level up those cores, such as heavy armor and block for endurance, and destruction and restoration for willpower. You'll find yourself in melee range most of the time, so the blade skill will level up very quickly. With great survivability, solid options at both range and close quarters, awesome major skills for leveling, the Spellsword is nothing short of incredible. The Spellsword for sure gets an S tier. And there we have it. If you feel that a class was put in the wrong tier, let me know in the comments and we can talk about it. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. Good luck out there, adventurers. May Akatosh guide your way.